Hey guys, I'm April from Giggle Glitter Graphics, and today I am starting work on my Be Happy journal. I've already got some of my pages printed from the kit, and I've got them trimmed up and folded, but I was looking for some fun things to put into the journal instead of just paper, and I've got a whole bunch of dyed paper. I went on a dyeing spree today. I've got green and brown and yellow. Lots to pick from, but I wanted to do some different things in here. So today I'm starting with these little manila cards. I picked these up at the thrift store for 99 cents. They're supposed to go in some kind of photo carousel. I don't know, they were in the craft supply section, but there's a whole bunch of them in this pack, 24. And I thought they would be fun to cut up for tags and things because they have these little cutouts, these notches, and I thought they were really cute. So for my first special page, I was thinking, because they're kind of big, at first I was going to put them like this and attach them down, maybe sew around them. But I felt like they were kind of big. So I'm going to grab my paper trimmer and I want to keep some of those notches because I really like how they look. Get my signatures out of the way here. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and try to match this space here over here. And I'm just going to trim that down. And let's see if we can make a couple of little pockets. And those might make fun tags, those cutoffs at another point. So that's pretty good. I can do the same thing on this one, can I? They don't line up, I'm not sure why. All right, trim right here. There. So now I've got these two little cute cardstock pockets. They're not exactly the same, but that's okay because they're gonna get sewn right into the journal. And I'm gonna go ahead and ink around those because I think they need a little more oomph. And then I'm gonna decorate the fronts of those at a later date, but that's gonna give me something to kind of play with that's a little bit different in my journal. And then we're gonna figure out how to make these fit on this page here. So real quick, get some ink on. All right, so I'm gonna glue these down. And I was wondering if I fold this up, can I make like a double pocket? Let's see. Glue this down. No, I'm not wild about that. So I think I'd rather trim it so that it fits these better. Let's get our ink out of the way. And the cat is now walking across the table. All right, let's see here. I am going to, I want a nice little border around all the edges. Right about there, I think. And I'm gonna trim that right down. And then since this is dyed paper and now that's kind of a boring edge, I'm gonna throw a little bit of ink on that as well. All right, so I think I'm gonna glue these so that there'll be pockets in two different directions. That way there's a little bit of variation. Let's do the slightly wider one so that it slides in at the top. So we'll just like that. Glue that down. And I'm gonna do this one sideways. Give it a little bit of, I'm gonna leave those top tabs kind of free. Maybe I can thread some ribbon through there later. So the idea here is I'm setting myself up with some interesting things to play with when I get to the decorating part of my journal. And then these will be separated, so having them on, they don't have to be exactly the same. I'm gonna let those dry and I'm gonna move on to some of the other things, and I'll try to throw some stitching on and show you all of the kind of finished pages here at the end. So I'm gonna set that to the side, but that'll get folded in half and put right into my signature. Clear it away. So here, this is just a piece of glitter cardstock. It's in a really pretty yellow. I thought it looked really nice with the theme, the yellow, green, and brown theme in this kit. So I just took a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. I cut it down so that it was the height of a sheet of paper. Here we go. And I might need to trim that down a little more. Let's see. No, it's pretty good. So it's the same height as my papers. And then it was too long. So I just folded this end in and gave it a big crease. This is kind of flaking. There's a plastic coating over the glitter. And then I folded it in half so that I can get a little signature piece. So there's gonna be like glitter, and I'll probably stencil on that later. And I think I'm gonna sew around the edges of this one, but that is gonna be a nice, interesting little bit of something that I can still decorate, because I do a lot of collage work in my journals. Whenever I get to that portion, it'll be a great space to play with. This was a paper bag. It was a Whole Foods paper bag. And I opened the bag up and I cut it. So now this is just one large panel that came from the front of the paper bag. I liked this green pattern on it, so I saved it. I'm gonna cover up the words Whole Foods later on, but I thought this made an interesting envelope. So I'm gonna ink around the edges on this, and I'm gonna have to do some trimming, because if I fold this in half, this is pretty thick. Let me go ahead and fold this in half. If I want these to open and close, then I'm gonna have to kind of cut up through there. Let me grab my scissors. That way it will function. And I'm gonna go ahead and put some ink on this right now, and then I will include it whenever I do my sewing here at the end. I've got my sewing machine set up right here so I can pull it over, but I'd like to keep this video pretty short today, and it's not really, I'm still a novice at sewing, so it won't really be a sewing tutorial. I'm not quite ready for that yet. It is now camera adjacent to the sewing machine. All right, so the last thing that I have is, I have this old North American almanac, 1921, this almanac is from, and I'm fortunate enough that it opens up pretty flat. So I was able to do some pages of this right on my copy machine or my printer. So I just picked a few pages and I did front and back. I did 2 of those. I thought this was so funny, this thing about pep, I don't know. So we've got May and April, and it's got all kinds of fun information on there for those, and graphics. And then there was some information about birds, this cute little pep poem, bird lovers, birds and the weather, and then a little bit about the total eclipse of the sun on May 28th, 1900. So I thought that was going to be fun. I'm going to trim these up with my paper trimmer, as well as this. This was from a music book. It was a little newer, about 1941. So I did the same thing. It was a little bit too wide, so I'm gonna tear these edges. And let me just go ahead and do that. Where is my ruler? I'm gonna tear those edges so that it looks like they're cut off, because they're all ripped up instead of so if you go to photocopy, if you have a copier and you go to photocopy and it just doesn't fit, and there might be a way for it to shrink, it fit on the bed. I'm still kind of figuring out scanning things in. I'm gonna leave that all raggedy, and then we'll do, this is the side that didn't fit here, and then a little distress ink. There we go. Toss those over there. And I'm not sure I can fold that yet. Crease doesn't line up, so we'll just split the difference. That'll be fine. Hard to say if it's even straight. There we go. I got my phone folder here. There. So now we've got these music pages. I'm gonna ink the edges on those, and that way that's gonna add a little bit of interest as well in here. I might even tear them down and make them a little shorter. I'm gonna do that. Let's do it. So that we've got some height differences with these. Do I wanna do the top? I'm gonna leave the top. It has the song titles on it. Yeah, a little more off the bottom. All right. So now I am ready to do a little bit of stitching around these and give them a little bit of detail to kind of finish them off. All Alright, so I've got my machine set up. I will tell you the settings I'm using. I have the width of the stitches set to the maximum 4. I don't know all the technical terms, so I'm going to do my best. I'm using brown thread in the top and the bottom, and I think I'm going to go with a zigzag stitch on, like a pretty big zigzag stitch on this Whole Foods bag. And so I've put my flaps up to make sure that I don't sew them shut. I'm all threaded, and I am just gonna run right around the edges here and make myself a little double pocket. All right, so I've got a row of stitching. Let's slide this out of the way, going right around here. And I think I'm gonna run some stitching across these flaps as well, just as a decorative element. I've got some long strings here. I'm gonna trim those off so they're not in the way. So I think I'm just gonna do each flap separately and run a little zigzag right across each of those. So what I'm doing to try to make sure that I am backing up. I'm not sure if you can see, but I am backing up over the ends. I don't always, sometimes I forget. And then if I do, I try to just glue it. Slide this out of the way. And now we've got our little Whole Foods bag. I did ink this. All right, got all the strings cut off. So that leaves us with this cute little double. I might put it this way in there, and I'm gonna decorate over the little Whole Foods logo, but I love how that looks. And this is just a paper bag. It had handles. Please hold both handles. And I like the text on there and the arrow. That's why I used it. You can see where the handles used to be. I just peeled them off. I do need to ink this area here, but other than that, I really like that. That's gonna add some interest to my bee journal. So I'm gonna do kind of the same thing on this. I'm gonna do a couple of rows of stitching around the edges of this. And I'm also gonna do some stitching around these pockets, whichever direction works best. So I'm gonna do that very quickly. So I have run into a problem. I think this material is just a little too thick for my sewing machine, or I'm being too aggressive and my thread keeps breaking. I'm gonna keep messing with this, but I might end up putting some fabric or covering up the holes or just working with the holes, or maybe Sharpie in between them. I'm not sure. But I have tried a few times and all I'm doing is perforating this whole thing. So I'm gonna pivot on that one, but I do like this. Let me fold this right in half. This was a coffee dyed paper. There's a little green on it. But the best laid plans. So I might try to play with that a little more here, but for now it seems either my machine or my thread. My machine makes a really bad noise too when I'm sewing it, so I'm gonna guess it's just a little bit much, this thicker cardstock. But I have a pocket here and I have a pocket at the top, and that's gonna make for some really cute, interesting elements whenever you're going through the journal. Okay, so a couple things happened. First of all, I did get a row of stitching around the outside edge of this. It is not my neatest work, and the reason it's not my neatest work is I broke the needle. It must have gotten bent. I'm not sure exactly what happened, what went wrong. But I'm now gonna have to see if I have any needles stashed away and figure out how to replace it. So, I'm gonna go back through these really quickly. So this is my glitter cardstock with my little pocket. I definitely could see I was gonna do some zigzag stitching around this panel here, but the needle broke while I started doing that. So I think that's a great place for a tab that'll cover up all those holes. And some stenciling inside, that's gonna be super cute. I've got this. So the sewing didn't go well for me today, guys. Some days things just don't go well. So now I've got this guy, so that's gonna make, I don't know what order these are all gonna go in, but that's gonna make for some really interesting pockets. We've got the Whole Foods bag right here. We got strings everywhere. We've got broken needles. It has been an interesting day of crafting, that's for sure. Got my double pockets there, and I have trimmed up. I didn't ink these yet, but this cracks me up. This Pep Vigor, Vitality, Vim, and Punch. That is Pep. So here's my little almanac pages all ready to go on my music page. This is ink. It's all ready to go into my signatures. So I think with these and my B principles, oh, all the way over here, they are, and some of these dyed papers that I did today, I'm gonna have some fun and interesting things going on inside of this journal. Well, thank you for watching and sticking with me today through my first attempt at trying to incorporate the sewing machine into a video. If you enjoyed seeing me make the mistakes that we all make, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.